All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. All right, going to be talking about Paul McCartney, so I figured I'd show off some classy music here. Quintessential by the great Quint Starkey. I bet you haven't heard of this, right? I was just talking to a famous person last night. I can't really tell you who they are, and they said to me, I think you're the only one doing this stuff. And I'm like, nah, probably not. But the way I do it at the beginning of the video irritates a lot of people who just want me to get to the topic. Paul McCartney, Yoko Ono. Anyway, check out Quintessential by Quint Starkey. It is the adult contemporary album of the year, as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, don't forget to check out Modern Retro Radio. Ringo Starr, he's got new material out there, and a great internet radio station that plays all of the new stuff by older vintage artists, okay? So modernretrofm.com, they are the greatest, okay? They really are. They're fantastic. You should go check them out. Now, I was checking out this article, Paul McCartney spilling the beans on Yoko Ono. And, everybody who grew up through the 70s, you would listen to DJs on the radio, and they would just say, look, Yoko Ono, she broke up the band. Paul McCartney finally says some stuff here, though, that I think is really interesting. As well documented in the Get Back film, right? If you watched that, Yoko Ono sat in on the band's studio sessions while they were making their final album, Let It Be. Yoko being literally in the middle of the recording session was something you had to deal with, says Paul McCartney. The idea was that if John wanted this to happen, then it should happen, and there was no reason why not. So everybody was being really sensitive to John Lennon. The band was almost breaking up at that point, and I think they just wanted to keep it together. And again, this adds more credence to the idea that it was Yoko who finally broke up the band. There were other reasons that these guys weren't getting along, but Yoko may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. McCartney says, anything that disturbs is disturbing. So he's basically saying the quiet part out loud. She was disturbing us and thus hurting our creativity. I don't think any of us liked it, he continues. It was an interference in the workplace. So not being very confrontational, we just bottled it up and just got on with it. Now, I wondered during watching that, was there a day during those sessions where the other guys got together behind John's back and said, look, we can do this. We can do this mutiny. We need to do the intervention. We need to go in and just tell him, get her out of here, right? I mean, you just watch that documentary and it's like, the sorest of thumbs is Yoko Ono. Thank goodness she didn't contribute any substantive musical ideas to the Let It Be album. But certainly there was an influence there, unintended. McCartney also says that getting together was bound to have an effect on the dynamics of the group. He's talking about John and Yoko getting together. He later adds of Yoko's presence that because we're not confrontational, we didn't want to make a fuss. And we just, as I said earlier, they just managed and they let things be. Sorry, pun intended, right? So anyway, folks, for years, people have said Yoko broke up the Beatles. And, I think this, again, it just confirms what we already knew. This isn't groundbreaking information, but it's good to hear Sir Paul say it out loud, after all these years. It's a shame if she was the final straw, because imagine having the Beatles throughout the 1970s. I think it would have been kind of cool. The Beatles in the 80s, I think, would have been very cool. Who knows? I think something else would have broken them up, But that's just my humble opinion. Anyway, folks, if you like the content here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, financial support is needed over on Patreon, as the algorithm, again, is in the process of just, throttling the content, throttling the number of views I get per video. I make this point, and most people don't disagree. I have 74,000 subscribers, and I thank every one of them. But I'm getting like 1,200 or 1,500 views per video. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All right. And maybe somebody who knows about this stuff can explain it to me. But I've been told that most likely people aren't getting notifications and things just aren't going the way they should. So in any event, if you can help the channel out also through YouTube memberships, signing up for one of those, that would also be much appreciated. One more time for Quint Starkey. He doesn't spell his last name like Ringo's real name. Okay, I think it's I-E instead of E-Y. Quint Starkey. This is really good stuff. Quintessential is the name of the album. I did mention that Ringo dropped a new album, and from what I've heard, it sounds pretty good. So again, if you want to be in that Beatles mode, if you want to celebrate Yoko Ono breaking up the band, then check out the new stuff from Ringo Starr. All right, I am done. Thank you, and God bless, and see you soon.